you back on here, mate. And look, I wanted to go to you first, actually, because Enzo Maresca spoke for the first time today, and I want to quote what he said verbatim, so I'm not seen as misleading. But he basically says, when you join a club like Chelsea, you know it's a club that has to win. We're going to try and do our best to fight and be there with the clubs in the moment that are winning and fighting to win titles. So his words have mirrored what the press said. He basically said in his interview, which is he believes this Chelsea team can win Premier Leagues and challenge. Do you feel with him so far and the business you've done, the Dewsbury Halls, the toss-ins, a plethora of young talent, have you done enough so far to bridge that gap from 5th place to challenging the teams at the top next season?
Definitely not. If I'm actually being honest, I think we've worsened as a side. Our project has completely started again from the moment that they sacked Pochettino for an inferior manager. The fan base for people like CFC Roy and a lot of people in our fan base will tell you that everything's perfect. We've got a way better coach now, and tactically we'll do better. When the sample size doesn't show that. He got relegated from Parma after 7 games or 13 games. He won the league title with Leicester. He had terrible form before he actually joined them, and now we're here. Whereas I know at least with Pochettino, he has his flaws, but we was literally 5 points off top 4. We had tough games against Sheffield and Burnley, which we should have won, and it is what it is. I look at that. I look at the signings we've signed. We've signed the likes of Tosin. I'm on a free transfer, so you can't even really criticize it because it's a free one at the end of the day. You can't complain. Dewsbury Hall in midfield. It's not really a Galactico, is he? But I would take that if that means it's a Gallagher replacement. Although I do feel like Gallagher would be the better player for us. And yeah, honestly, I'm upset. And I feel like I'm the only person that has. I actually wrote down a note of all the words that Chelsea fans have said today in regards to Enzo Maresca. Aura. Mystique gimmick. There's something about the way he uses these words. It's the bold head for me. Sack Poch again and rehire him. What's going on? I feel like I'm being gaslighted consistently. And I'm the only one. We went into this transfer window expecting a number 9 was going to spend the odd 80 million, 90 million on a striker, and Osimhen and Gyökeres. We were debating Šeško, which one should we get? And we got the John Duran links. Do you know what I mean? Or that guy from Atletico Madrid that nobody knows. This California cauliflower guy that has been the next, is the flavor of the month. They're telling me he's the next Maldini. He's chosen Arsenal over us. So now we've even lost our pool. Like I was warning everyone in advance. We've brought, I don't know who this Viega guy is, and apparently he's better than Ben Chilwell, a European champion. He was actually the best left back in the world when he won the Champions League at the time. Fair enough, he's had injuries, so has Reece James. No one will talk about it. But they want to replace him with a guy from Basel that no one knows. And because Clearlake done it, I'm a crazy guy for saying this is the opposite. Everyone's going to gaslight me consistently. We lost Elise. Wow. Like it's been a long summer. I've been away, so I'm just really venting. I'm sorry for the monologue, but really, I've been fuming every step of the way because even with the Elise process, first and foremost, the first year he's chosen Crystal Palace. He would rather stay at Crystal Palace than join us. That wasn't a red flag to them. They've now decided to prop Elise every single day, tell us that he's better than Palmer. He's the Galactico Palmer, who's the reason why we didn't get relegated last season if you take away his goals and assists. They did all of this begging for Elise. When I grew up and I was watching Chelsea, we were signing Ballon d'Or winners like Shevchenko and getting Hazard, who was the best talent in the world after winning the Champions League. Now we're begging for players, and he mugged us off. And look at us now. Back to square one. Project restarted because if we don't make top 4, they're going to say he's a new manager and the team is young, as usual. Sorry, I feel like I'm going crazy. My head's in Mars right now.
No, you're not. I want to throw this to Roy for a second. There's a lot to unpack there, but I wanted to speak about Enzo to begin with, Roy. I saw a lot of that today, the aura, the way he spoke, his communication. CB has obviously gone in on that. You know, this is a championship manager in his opinion, not as good as Poch. How do you see it, Roy? Are you as concerned about this appointment, or do you see the aura? Do you see the quality? Is all of that? Are you getting the sense that this is a top-class Chelsea manager that you've hired?
I mean, I don't know how this aura stuff started, so I'm not going to say I see the aura or anything like that, but I'm on the opposite side of the fence of CB. Listen, he's entitled to his opinion. I respect it. I'll hear it out. But me personally, I was so happy to see the end of Poch. I was so happy. As in, I would have been dancing if I wasn't in the office when the news came out. But so I think we've upgraded personally. I didn't know nothing anyone can say will change my mind. I thought Poch was an absolute shit show. I don't care about the 5 wins at the end. So I'm very happy that we replaced him. I think he's a good manager. I think he'll do very well here. On the preface that we back him, and if we look at our business so far, if we're really trying to like push up the table, and because my aim next season is to finish above Liverpool. That's where I think we should be. However, the business we're doing, that doesn't really scream we want to finish in the top 3. That screams we're probably happy where we are, and we shouldn't be happy where we are, because if we had a better manager, we would have finished in the top 4 last season. So we shouldn't be stagnating. This is the time to be pushing. And if Liverpool have just got a new manager, I don't particularly rate Ten Hag or United's rumoured business so far, or whatever. And Spurs are Spurs, so we'll always finish above them. So there's a chance of really consolidate. I'm sorry you had to catch that straight, Kate. There's a real chance to like solidify ourselves as the 3rd or the 4th best team in the country, and then push on again to challenge the season after. But if you look at like Tosin, Dewsbury Hall, this Vega guy who I hadn't heard of like until like 2 days ago, I don't even know who else we've signed apart from Esteban, because he looks serious, but he won't be here next season anyway. That does not scream we're trying to push up the table. And I'm hoping that maybe they're just trying to get the easy deals done early, and the more difficult deals will be done later in the window. That I know that's incredible copium, but it's all I can hope for at this point, because if this is actually what we're going to be doing for the rest of the window, then regardless of how good Maresca is, we're still handicapping him. Like, I think I speak for a lot of Chelsea fans when we say our checklist was a goalkeeper, a centre-back, a Gallagher replacement, a winger, and a striker. And with the sales we could have made, we could have bought good players in those positions. But we've got a free centre-back who I personally don't believe is a required level to be the week in, week out starter at a club like Chelsea. A left-back, again, who's unproven. He could come in and be brilliant. He could come in and be the worst one we have. We don't know. Gallagher's still here. He's not been replaced yet. We signed a Barcelona academy player as number 9. Again, he could come in and bang. We don't know. Or he could be raw and young, as we expect. Or he could do really well. But again, there's too much uncertainty over how good our squad is. It's all relying on either players staying fit or players banging. And that's too much of a gamble, especially when there are clubs around us who will happily poach our position in the table if we're not at the level required to be at next season. So essentially, to summarize, I'm happy with Maresca. I think he's 100 times better than Pochettino. So that side, cool, no problem. I'm happy. But the business, I can't look at that and say, yeah, I'm really confident we're going to do well next season. And then I will inevitably start chatting shit before the season starts, because that's what I always do. But right now, I can't look at that business and say, oh, we're going to do X, Y, Z. We're going to beat X, Y, and Z. We're going to win all this stuff. Like, that business can't make me say that. So let's actually go and get some proven players who are ready to contribute now if we actually want to push up the table, because apart from City and Arsenal, the chance is there to grab any other position.
That's where I completely agree with you. I don't necessarily think your business has been bad business. I think Tosin's very good. I actually think Dewsbury Hall is being a little bit underrated by some Chelsea fans. Where I agree with elements of what CB has said, though, if it's them two and then it just keeps being kids, I see that being a problem. And I think that because and as much as Chelsea fans think I'm hating, I don't believe I am. No one yet has been able to show me. And if you can show me, it'll change my mind. The projects now or in the past where a club has predominantly had young talent in most of its positions without a strong core spine, where that team has developed into a title winning, Premier League winning, Champions League winning football team. I can't think of the examples where that has happened. You can think about Man United class of 92, but they had a solid spine. You had the youngsters that came through at the same time as Messi, but look at that spine. I can't think of examples yet. And maybe other sports it's happened. I know the NFL clubs kind of do this where they tank a little bit They build up loads of these great young players, but this isn't the NFL. We're a very different sport. When it comes to ours, that's the only element I would be concerned about. This idea of we're predominantly going to buy cheap and young and turn it into a super team. It's almost impossible to back it from a place of knowledge, because I just don't know where the examples are of it working. So where I agree, I think you've got to add some more star quality. But Don has come in here. I hope you're well, Don, by the way. He says, I've deeped it. When people don't know about players, it'll forever be underwhelming. Is that more your issue here, CB? What Don says, that just because you don't have the knowledge of the players, therefore you find it underwhelming?
Wait, before CB goes, just sorry, 1 second, bro. About the whole buying kids thing, we're very, very reliant on everybody doing a Cole Palmer, and that's not a sensible risk to take at all, because there are going to be some kids who aren't quite ready for the level, are going to be inconsistent, our performances will be inconsistent, their heads will drop if they have a bad game, they might get overconfident if they have a good game, and not everyone's going to be Cole Palmer, where he comes in and he's the best young player in the league in his first season. Like, we can't rely on that. That's why you need, like Terry was saying, a proven core, an experienced core who have been there, who have done it, who can guide the few young players in the team around them. But if you've got so many kids in the starting 11, if a few of them aren't performing well, who's gonna pick them up? They're gonna be looking to like a 22-year-old with like one full season under his belt, and Cole Palmer to be picking them up. That's why I wanted a good core to build the young kids, to build the young players around, and then if things don't go well, then you can look towards an experienced centre back or your goalkeeper or a number 9, someone who's been there and done it, because you know what, it's a tough time. We're still in this game. We can come back. We'll win our next game. Blah blah blah. But hoping like all these kids we sign are just going to do a Cole Palmer and just absolutely kill the league, it's not a sensible risk.
Sorry, back to you, CB. I've only been muting you, CB, because there's a bit of background noise when
no,
you're
worries.
not talking.
Yeah,
but
sorry about that.
Go for it, bro.
But yeah, just to piggyback off your point, in terms of the young players, for me, my main concern is the academy, which has proven in the last 20 years to really be the best academy in the world. Challenger next to La Masia, the amount of players that have been produced, even throughout the league, the players that are not really out there. But then I'm looking at now the likes of Neil Bath leaving, and then today the news about Rio Nagamura going to Liverpool, who is a highly regarded Cobham talent. It looks like the pathway towards the academy to the senior team has completely died with this project that they're doing. There's Staval, Williams, and the Paezes, and they are talented players. I'm not saying no to it. You know, I do want a little bit of Neymar's and that coming to my team, but the Jinkies and all of that. But I don't know these people. This is my issue with Don, because we signed Mark Gayu, who now I'm no football thesaurus historian type of guy, but La Masia have never produced strikers. I know them for the midfielders, the defenders, in terms of flary players, but the last striker that I've thought of in my top of my head that they produced is Berjan Kokic, who ended up at Stoke. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, 6 million. We'll look at all the big names, the Oshimens we were linked to. That's not really great. I've seen us being linked to the likes of Upamecano and De Ligt, and you brought me Tosin. Now, no disrespect to Tosin, but I feel like everything that we've been put in our face that Elise says, and then we turn around and get a Dewsbury Hall, it's like we're getting marked off. I don't know. It's not really. It's not. I don't. If Tosin turns out to be a great player, KDH turns out to be a great player. Kudos to them. My hats off to them. Same with Paez and so on. But why are we taking these risks? Why can't we just get winners? Even in terms of the young players we're signing, we're not signing the Arda Güler's. I'm seeing Arda Güler in Turkey balling out. I'm seeing Lamine Yamal balling out. We're signing players that we're guessing. We don't know what's going on. Even Willian Estavio. At the end of the day, this is the worst Brazilian team we've seen all the time. Like, in a long time, Ronaldinho's been complaining. Why is he not at Copa America? Hendrick stinks. So I'm looking at all of these young players they're talking about, and they're not really doing it. Paez is, kudos to him, but that's 1 in 3. This is my point. It's a risk. But that's my issue with Don. He's always moaning. Big up to him, bro.